Standing behind me is the 2015 Acura TLX. This is a brand new model from Honda's luxury brand, and it is positioned just slightly above the TSX and below the TL from a pricing perspective as well as from a size perspective. The TLX comes in three different variations. You have a 2.4 liter front-wheel drive with all-wheel steer, a 3.5 liter front-wheel drive with all-wheel steer, and the vehicle we're driving, which is a 3.5 liter with the super handling all-wheel drive. Even though Acura doesn't say this vehicle is replacing the TL, they do benchmark it in many cases. So it's considerably lighter and stiffer than the TL. It's also a little bit smaller, but it's really hard to notice the size differential. Under the hood, we have a pair of carryover engines from the TSX and from the TL. So from the TSX, we get the 2.4 liter engine, which is rated at 206 horsepower and 182 pound-feet of torque. From the TL, we get the 3.5 liter, which is rated at 290 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque. So while what's under the hood is not exactly earth-shattering news, what are the transmissions that both engines are mated to. With the four-cylinder, you get the world's first 8-speed DCT or dual clutch transmission with a torque converter. And with the 3.5 liter, you get Acura's first implementation of a 9-speed automatic transmission. Now, what's interesting about both of those transmissions is that they're designed, of course, to get better fuel economy, which this vehicle does. However, what's a little concerning are the peak horsepower RPMs. For the four-cylinder, you have to get your engine up to 6,800 RPMs. And for the V6 we're driving today, it's at 6,200 RPMs. We talked about Acura's new transmissions in the TLX. What we didn't mention is that there's an all-new shifter. It's a push-button shifter. Park, pull back for reverse, neutral, and drive. Just below you have the IDS, which is your integrated dynamic system, or what I call drive mode select. You have 4 options: economy, normal, sport, and sport plus. With regards to safety, Acura has developed something known as Acura Watch, which for the TLX consists of 9 different safety technologies, and we're going to go through those real quickly for you. First, we have forward collision warning system, adaptive cruise control, collision mitigation braking system, lane departure warning system, lane keeping assist system, road departure mitigation, blind spot information system, multi-view rear camera with dynamic guidelines, and rear cross traffic monitoring. The majority of the TLX models will have the all-wheel steer system. What that means is that from low to mid speed, you will have the rear wheels turning opposite of the front wheels. So if you're turning left, they're going to go to the right to give you a tighter turning radius. At higher speeds, they're going to turn in the same direction to allow you to shift lanes quicker. And in hard braking, so if you're coming to an area where you need to really get on the brakes, your front tires are probably going to be straight, and what happens to the rear is they both turn in to give you even more aggressive braking. Overall, this is a great driving vehicle. Definitely more European than I would say the Infiniti or the Lexus competitors in the segment. And that's a positive for Acura and this particular model. This has a new generation of the super handling all-wheel drive, which has some key improvements, and you certainly can notice it on some of the more aggressive roads like we've been driving today. Overall, love the interior, love the way the vehicle drives. Seats are extremely comfortable. The information screen between the gauges is rather small by today's comparison. For example, non-luxury brands like the Camry offer 4-inch screen. We just got out of some Dodge Chargers with a 7-inch screen, and this thing is just tiny. It's about 3 inches. and I think they could have done a little bit better, but it works. Not a huge complaint. Acura's always struggled with their controls and their center console, a little too quirky, but they've really cleaned things up for the TLX, and I commend them for that. Everything has a nice kind of upscale feel to it. Very European looking as far as using a lot of blacks and a lot of metals and not a lot of fancy woods, and I think that works to their advantage. The lane departure warning and lane keep assist work brilliantly. They only work at higher speeds, and got on the highway, wasn't really aware it was on the first time we drove it, and right away it definitely picked up that we were departing from the lane, little audible beep, and brought us right back to center. That's great technology. I realize other vehicles have it, but for Acura, this is certainly a nice feature that I think a lot of drivers will appreciate. Just gives it a very elegant look, but also a sporty look. I've really gotten used to this transmission over the past week, just the way it shifts. It's very intuitive, and by having such a small shifter, you have more room for cup holders and areas like this to put your smartphones. So overall, a great job, nice interior. It's spacious, plenty of headroom. I like the super handling all-wheel drive. The steering is much more precise than other Acura models I've driven. And the engine is good, but it's a little loud for my taste. And that may be by design to give the vehicle a more sporty feel, but considering they're targeting luxury car buyers, that may not appeal to them. But to be fair, they're probably not going to be revving up their TLX at over 6,000 RPMs to achieve that peak horsepower. One of the things Acura is proud of is that with this transmission, you could be at 1,600 RPMs even when you're going 70 miles an hour. That's quite an accomplishment, and that helps it achieve better fuel economy. This is one of the tests we like to do where we're just kind of cruising at about 35 miles an hour, very low RPMs, about 1,400 or so. Now we're going to punch it. So a little bit of a delay as it goes through all the gears. Again, this is the 9-speed transmission, but not too bad. Because of the torque, it's able to get to that next gear a little bit quicker. This is just the world we live in. We're going to see more and more of these multi-gear transmissions, and even though they're designed for fuel economy, the manufacturer doesn't want to compromise performance, and I think Acura has a nice balance with the TLX. The TLX was given to me at an interesting time when a family member was in the market for a vehicle in this segment. So what is the segment, you may ask? Well, that depends on if you're looking at the 4-cylinder, the V6, or the V6 with all-wheel drive. But as you can imagine, it's the usual suspects. Vehicles like the Audi A4, the BMW 3 Series, Cadillac ATS, of course Mercedes-Benz C-Class, and you have the Lexus IS and Infiniti Q50. So kind of a wide range of vehicles, but oddly enough, the vehicle that I think this car should be compared to is the Lexus ES, which is what the family member ended up buying. And the reason they bought it was really because of the brand. Now, there's nothing wrong with the Acura brand. In fact, Acura was the first Japanese luxury brand in America. They came actually 3 years before Lexus with vehicles like the Legend and the Integra. They're trying to recapture some of that magic, and they're hoping this vehicle will do that for them. I think this is a great vehicle for what I call the next generation of Acura models. They've done a nice job with the styling. The interior is splendid. There are some things I would tweak here and there, but overall, with a starting price of $31,000, it's kind of priced to compete with the A3, but size-wise, it's more like an A4, and I think that may be its primary target. You do have the all-wheel drive, but kind of a unique feature to the segment is the all-wheel steer, which I think if you experience that, you'll enjoy it.